We're all getting ready and get back into the mode, the school year mode. I know the school's already back, and we're back in mode to get ready for a new year, so to speak. So, but in Mayor's Night Out, as always, I want to remind you of a couple things. The councilman's going to speak in a second. This is all generated by written questions. So in the back, I have Christy, and I have Noemi, and I think, and they're both here with the written question. If you have a question, please fill out a questionnaire. We'll read it off. And then sometimes people want to follow that up. They're like, hey, I had something like that also. You raise your hand and we'll come right to you, okay? If you're raising your hand though, we try to stay on topic. So if it's like about garbage pickup, if you have a question about garbage pickup, you raise your hand also. But if we're talking about garbage pickup and you're like, hey, my street looks like crap, you know, we'd ask you to put in another question and we'll talk about your street, okay? Thank you. I appreciate it all. Love being in the 4th District. Love the 4th District. One of the things I love the most about the 4th District is the councilman in the 4th. So let's give it up for Councilman Bill Emerson.
Well, for those of you that don't know, I got to put my glasses on. At the convention in Chicago, the mayor was asked, along with many veterans, to come up on the stage with others. As a Vietnam vet myself, I thank the mayor for serving, and thank you. Okay, I want to welcome Scott Miller as Chief of Staff to the mayor. I've seen you everywhere at Mayor's Night Out for, I think, years. It seems like. Anyway, welcome aboard.
Thank you, Bill.
I'd like to start out with good news. The city will soon own Myers haunted haunted house, and it's great news for the city of Hammond. One last Halloween, I think, and he sold fireworks this past July. Near 8094, this will be fantastic for the city, and I'm very happy about it, and I smile a lot because it's just so great. Number 2, next I want to congratulate Juan Moreno. Where is Juan? Oh, thank you. In his work to obtain Starbucks for Hammond. It will be a wonderful addition to the city. It will be located at 165th Street across from White Castle, and he's worked very hard to get that, and I'm thinking because it happens in the 4th, because we're all residential, usually residential, and to get a new business, and the idea of 8094 too, but Starbucks, I'm very happy about that, so I'm smiling about that too. Okay, next, on July 15th, we were hit with a big storm. I want to thank all the city workers who worked so hard for many hours. With branches and trees were everywhere, it seemed like. Power outages were evident as well. And NIPSCO set up a deal at Anthem Church on Homan to assist residents in dealing with the power being off. I also want to thank Felix Gonzalez, the director of the street department, wherever he's at, on either side. Devin Wick, director of forestry, and Mike Kano, the 4th District, I know where he's at, 4th District supervisor, for his tireless work, and everyone worked very hard after the storm, and after the storm, during the storm, not so much, but after the storm, they had their work cut out for them. Since we last met, I was elected to the Capital Improvement Board in January of this year. It is fascinating to see how the city allocates funding to make the city great. And I never knew, I didn't know how complex it was, but B, it makes the city great, and it's interesting to look at the inner workings of it. Finally, and I'm finally done, finally projects. Overlays are first. We're doing Mulberry from Calumet to Tapper, and Tapper Avenue, 173rd to 176th Street, Van Buren, 175th to 176th, and we've already completed Forest Avenue, Lawndale to Coolidge. Ornamental lighting, Meadow Lane, 173rd to Ben Levin Drive, and 170th Street, Calumet to Columbia, and that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Emerson. All right, welcome to Mayor's Night, everybody. It's good to see everybody here. Let's go ahead and we'll start off. This is Alex. Alex works in constituent services. So what that means is she does complicated constituent stuff. Because if you call my office, we have a lot of people calling in, and sometimes your problems are a little bit more complicated than it can be handled in 1 or 2 minutes. That's when we call Alex, and she takes over. So if you have an issue and Alex is working with you, congratulations, Alex is working with you, and I'm sorry because it's usually a pretty bad problem we're working on. So, but anyway, welcome, Alex. Good to see you again.
Thank you, thank you.
I already introduced you, it sounds like.
Yes, you did.
This is Alex Tahura. She grew up in the 4th District.
I still live in the 4th District.
She still lives in the 4th District, actually. So, hi.
Jim Talon, Park Department.
Megan Flores, City Controller.
Jeff Smith, Port Authority. Kelly Crooney, Inspections.
Nicholas Farrell, Code Enforcement.
Chris Campbell, Information Technology.
Carmen Paniagua, Housing Authority.
Dean Button, Engineering.
Brian Poland, City Planning.
Ron Novak, Environmental Management.
Scott Miller, Chief of Staff.
Kevin Smith, Corporation Counsel.
Jaime Prieto, Water.
Bob Vale, Building Department.
Chris Sakalaris, Legal Aid.
Andy Short, Hammond Police.
Bernie Grizzlia, Hammond Fire.
Sharon Daniels, College Bound and Personnel.
Matt Muta, Hammond Sanitary District.
Jack Smith, Sewer Maintenance.
Juan J. Moreno, Economic Development.
Felix Gonzalez, Public Works.
All right, I do this at every Mayor's Night, or I try to remember anyway. And I ask my department heads to raise their hand if they're from the host district. So if you're from the 4th District, raise your hand. All right, solid, solid. My job is to represent the whole city, and Christy in the back, good. So I hire only Hammond residents. I've been doing that for 21 years. And I was told when I first became mayor that it wouldn't be possible to fill an administration with just Hammond residents. We've done pretty well with just Hammond residents, so thank you, ma'am. Okay, like I said, we start with questions. We introduced everybody. We'll start in the back. Hey, Christy. Oh, Eileen, Special Events Coordinator. Nice to see you.
Hi, Mayor.
Nice to see you. This is Eileen Ibarra. Not a resident of the 4th. She lives in Hessville, right?
3rd District.
3rd District. Okay. So, good to see you.
Nice to see you too, Mayor.
Thanks.
First concern, a street light in front of my house has been out for the last 3 months. I've called to get it fixed, but still waiting. This is on the 6500 block of Homan Avenue.
The address is on there, though, Eileen?
Yeah, no, the address of the street light, you can put that down. It's at 4 in front of 4 Highland Street. It's number 57.
Could you go up to this gentleman? I know him really well. I've been mayor a long time. Lifelong Hammond resident here. I want to ask you a question, if you don't mind, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. How long, you said 3 months you called that in?
I called it in 3 months ago.
To my office, or?
I called it into the street department, you know, and then they said, okay, we know about it. I gave them the number. I waited for months. I called NIPSCO. I mean, you know.
Do you know if it's NIPSCO or a city? Is it Wooden Pole?
It's pole number 57, right in front of 4 Highland Street.
Is that one of ours, Felix?
Is it a black Decker?
Yeah, it's a pole. It's like, it's one of your street lights.
It's,
you know.
okay, it's one of ours then.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been out for 3 months, and like I say, I've called the city, I called NIPSCO, I called, and,
Does anybody else in the audience have problems with their lights? Do you call them in, Councilman? And they're not getting done?
I've called you, like I say, I've called the city, and
I
I've called
appreciate you guys,
NIPSCO.
honestly.
I don't know what
No,
else
does
to
anybody
do.
else have had problems? Because I've been getting complaints recently about my lighting program, and it's disturbing me. And I'm a Mayor's Night Out, and Mayor's Night Out is about accountability. I can't hide from my bosses, and this is why we do it. I appreciate the question. I'm going to follow this up, I promise. Felix and I had a conversation about this a couple weeks ago. Hold on, Councilman, so we can get the microphone there, okay? Yeah, because we want it for the TV. They can't hear you. We can hear you, but they can't.
By the way, formerly the street was named after his father, so
Yes.
he's an honorable man.
Yes, sir. Oh, thank you for, it's true. You were the councilman when that happened, so. All right, here we are. That's how it works. Anybody have any questions about lighting? Let's move on. By the way, thank you for the great crowd at Mayor's Night Out. This is our first one in a few months. We do 6 a year like this, and it's great to see a big crowd, so. Usually that means people are angry. I hope that's not the case. Hopefully you guys are just good citizens and we're all happy, right? So, all right, what do we got next?
What is going on with the building on 28 Ruth Street? It's falling apart.
Good question. I know this off the top of my head, but the details I do not know. But we talk about 28 Ruth Street quite often in staff meeting because it's a pretty complicated demolition project. Probably the best person to answer this would probably be my corporate counsel.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah.
Who's a resident of the 4th District?
Yes, I am. You're right. I was looking around. Yes, me, I am. So 2830, it's actually 2834 Ruth Street is what we refer to it as. It's a large apartment complex that's fallen into disrepair. There's actually a hole in the roof that goes all the way down to the bottom. So unfortunately for the residents that live around there, the people that have owned that building keep transferring it, and they keep trying to hide the ball on us. We've successfully now, however, defended a case in front of Judge Perrin out in Lake Superior Court. They've appealed the ruling. But in the meantime, thanks to the mayor and Awana Miller and some money she has from CDBG, as well as Brian Poland, who's been working with the State Historic Preservation Commission, we're almost to the finish line. All the paperwork, I believe, is in place. The money is there, and the demolition, we hope, is going to commence within the next, I probably defer this over to Brian to see when all the paperwork is going to be done from the state, but I hope 60 days.
Brian? Could you grab a microphone? Because people are relying on this, so I want to make sure that we're clear.
The documents have been submitted to the State Preservation Office. We're waiting for their response. I'm going to say, hopefully between 30 and 60 days.
Cool. We're on this. I promise you. I know the address off the top of my head. So, not very often you bring up a specific address in the city of Hammond and the mayor knows about it off the top of his head, okay? We've had multiple meetings about this. It's coming down. It's just more complicated because it's big and it involves state, and so, but I promise you, progress is being made. Anybody else have anything to add? Kel, I don't know if, no? Okay. Anybody in the audience? I don't know whose question it was, but any follow-up on this? All right, cool. Let's move on.
There's a subdivision plotted off of Vine Court in Garfield just north of Locust Street and west of Harrison. Are there any plans to build out this subdivision?
Say this again so I can go in my head where we're going here.
Plotted off of Vine Court in Garfield just north of Locust Street and west of Harrison.
I'm good at the city. I'm trying to picture this. What is this?
By the bike trail bridge, 65th and the Monon Trail south of there.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
That subdivision was created probably in the mid-1990s.
Is that on the 7,000 block? 65?
Well, I think like 66.
Okay. Is that was it? Yeah, okay. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it was a...
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yes, it's coming from the east. Okay.
Yeah, it's, if I remember correctly, it's about 8 or 9 lots, something like that. Like I said, it was platted in the 1990s. That particular developer didn't follow through on it, and obviously has been built. I know internally we've talked about looking at opportunities for new housing in various parts of the city, and that is one of the areas that we're looking at.
Okay, that's great. Any follow-up from the audience on that? Sure, okay, let's move on.
When will the bike lane on 173rd be completed? And are there any other plans for any bike lanes throughout the city?
I'd take the bike trail on 173rd all the way from Purdue to the state line, but on the road. So it's done that far. Into Hessville, it goes to Kennedy, and then it stops. So I guess the question is, from Kennedy to the Sound Wall? Dean? I know we've talked about this, and it's not really a segregated bike lane. It's going to be a share of the road type of situation.
So
right?
about 3 years ago, the street department put share the road striping down from Grand all the way to Holman Avenue. So we did some work about 3
Okay.
years ago.
So-
Last year, we did a segment between Columbia and Kennedy to designate bike lanes
great.
through Purdue and so forth.
It's great.
So there's still.
People use it all the time. I was coming in today down 173rd, and I passed multiple bikers on 173rd, and that never used to happen. Nobody would go on 173rd on bikes because it was crazy speed. So
The segment between Columbia and Calumet's going to be share the road because the roadway's not wide enough to accommodate a bike lane.
right.
And
But
then,
it's
yeah,
slow enough speed where it's not.
true.
I do it.
So there's that, and then from Calumet to Holman, there's some work that we still need to do. But there are space available for it. We just don't have the striping
I agree.
down.
Okay. Follow up on that? Yes, sir. How you doing? I love it. Brought his kids. I was talking to his kids before it. Hi, guys.
So in addition to that,
Yes, sir.
I love the bike lane on Holman that was put through all the way to the downtown.
Thank you.
But there's a dangerous intersection at 173rd
Okay.
and Holman,
Okay.
and something needs to be done
What do you
because
mean?
someone's going to get run over there. The cars use the northbound lane on Holman as a turn lane in the bike lane. They need to put an orange barrier there like
We've
they
talked
do
about
in
this.
Munster, to prevent the cars
That's a
from
great
using that
point.
lane.
We've had this situation closer to my house, and I use it, and I was pointing that out to Dean. Same exact situation, where cars were doing it. It's understandable why cars are doing it. Cyclists need to realize that it's sort of a share the lane kind of situation. Right?
It is a shared lane because people are making a right turn there, right?
But
That's-
it's not striped that way. That's the
We
problem.
have it
right?
posted by sign.
Okay.
There's a sign that says vehicles do not use the bike lane because the intent is for them not to drive in the bike lane. But when you approach 173rd, they're going to cheat over and make a right-hand turn there. Normally, I don't see them go through.
Possible to put one of those temporary orange barriers like they did on Franlin Parkway in Munster? Just something temporary during the summer to protect
Felix.
those bicyclists?
Felix, why don't you take a look at it tomorrow? See if they're 73rd and Holman. Bike trail, turning north. Northbound turning, right?
Turning
Headed
east,
west,
yep.
turning north?
Northbound turning east.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, thank you, sir. All right. I love bike trail questions. We can talk about that the rest of the night. I'm good with it. Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes, sir. Yes,
I
ma'am.
think,
Right over here, Mayor.
Oh, hey. Thanks,
Mayor,
Kelly.
I think one
Hi,
of the
Kelly.
complaints that I constantly get in reference to that intersection is they're not really worried about the bikes. It's when you're on that or at that intersection and you want to make a right turn, you have people coming up on the right side
Yes.
of you and you're going to turn into them.
But I agree.
So I think
Danger.
that's what they were just trying to
Yes,
clarify.
and the
Just wanted to make
cyclist
sure
has to
you
know that, like, when I'm on my bike and I'm going up in a car's blind spot, you got to assume that they don't see you. I mean, God forbid something ever happens there, but that's on the cyclist if they're in the car's blind spot and they're not distancing themselves. But these are great points. I appreciate you bringing it up, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Unfortunately, Holman Avenue there from 173rd North to 165th, where it's bike lanes in the street, quite often the cars use those as a two-lane. And
Yeah,
I
you'll
was
see 'em
in the
scoot
car.
around.
No, not just going around you. You're not going fast enough. You're only going 35 miles an hour.
Right.
They jump in the bike lane there, then they drive the whole length.
I can tell you that if a Hammond police officer catches them doing that, we will hammer their butt. I promise you.
I would hope so.
I promise
mean,
you. And we have the police chief here. We have multiple officers here. That offends me as a cyclist. And it offends me because we limited it to 2 lanes to slow that traffic down. So I appreciate you bringing it up. I've seen it happen myself, not go the whole way. I've seen them do quick passes, and that inflames me. So I appreciate you bringing it up, and I'm glad you're bringing it up. You guys make us better, by the way. This is good for mayors to do because it's my job to make sure that you guys are happy, and I got to try to keep 50% of people happy at all times. And so when we hear what's wrong in the city, it helps us be better, believe me. I think that's one of the secrets to our success. So thank you for bringing these issues up.
Next question. What does the selection process for the Ring doorbell program look like?
When we did it, we had X number they gave us, and then we'd have like a fair type of system to give it away, and then everybody would just show up. Now, we had something happen recently with the crime watches, where the crime watches were giving out Ring doorbells or Ring cameras, and there wasn't enough, and some people were angry, and they were mad at us in City Hall like we ran the program. We weren't running the program. We allowed them to be given out in City Hall. So eventually they ran out. I mean, if you have 100 Ring doorbells and there's 102 people in line, 2 people aren't going to get the Ring doorbell. That's just the way it works out. It's nobody's fault. And that's what happened in this case. And it's the people that didn't get the Ring took it out on my staff. And I didn't love that because we get yelled at for a lot of reasons, and I don't want to get yelled at for something that we have nothing to do with. We're just trying to help facilitate Ring doorbells going out to the community. So, hi, ma'am.
I wanted to know, how was that process determined of who would get a Ring doorbell?
I'm not sure. I didn't run the program.
Well,
we didn't.
is anyone here that ran the program?
But, yes, they are, but this is Mayor's Night Out. And we don't,
Okay,
this
because
has nothing
many
to
of
do
the
with us.
neighbors wanted to know, how was that?
I just explained it, sort of, ma'am. But I want to emphasize, we had nothing to do with this, the city. So like Mayor's Night Out, I don't
Okay.
think it's appropriate to address this.
I understand that,
Okay.
but there had to be a process on how. we
I imagine there
determined.
was. But we gave Ring doorbell out before, and we ran out because there was more people that wanted them than Ring doorbells. And then we have to say, sorry, we're out of Ring doorbells. And then, of course, if you didn't get a Ring doorbell, you get mad because you wanted a Ring doorbell.
I'm not mad. I just wanted
But
to
we
know the
ran out, and it's
process.
nobody's fault. We're trying to get them out to the community. So, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, ma'am. I appreciate you. And I figured out real quick why this question came up, because I remember about a month ago this happened, if I remember right. And it was in City Hall. So naturally, people got mad at us. But it's like, hey, we're just housing this here. We're just facilitating it. We're not running the program. So, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I hope you don't mind.
Excellent question, so.
I know, I
that's
appreciate it.
what
And I hope I explained it. And I love the fact that they were giving out Ring doorbells because I think it helps. And I promise you, we will give out Ring doorbells again because it was hugely successful. The first time we did it, when the crime watches did it, it was hugely successful. I think it's a good program, okay? I'm sorry you didn't get, if you were 101, I apologize. So, any follow-up on that? Yes, ma'am. Hi, Councilwoman.
Yes, I am with Hammond Community Watch. We're a small not-for-profit, and we got a grant for the Ring doorbell. On the flyer, it said that quantities were limited, so it was on a first-come, first-served basis. Each and every application was time-stamped. And I spoke to a woman who was furious because she didn't get the doorbell. And I was like, I'm sorry, we had 100 doorbells and you were number 138. That's just the way it went. It's kind of like when you go shopping for something on sale and they're gone when you get there. So, as I said, this was a grant that we received. In the past, we did the dusk to dawn security lights. Never had a problem such as this. But this one, never imagined that there would be the interest that there was. Our objective is to make our city safe for our residents. That is the objective. And for any of you who did not get the doorbell, my question to you is, have you ever come to a Crime Watch meeting?
All right.
Have you ever come to find out what we do and the information that we give to our residents to let them know how to keep themselves and their families and their children safe, I encourage you all to go to a Crime Watch meeting, because that's where this program initiated from.
Right. Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you.
Okay. That was a lot of conversation, so let's move on past this one.
The same resident has a safety concern regarding an abandoned home on the 800 block of Merrill.
Cool. I mean, not cool, not cool, but it's great that we have the address. I hope is that the exact address, ma'am? It says it's on the 800 block. I imagine it's a specific address on there.
Back of the home looks like a forest or wooded area, and then there was a body found in that second house in the back during the winter time.
Okay. Well, we'll follow it up, I promise. And could you put the exact address on there so we can follow it up? Thank you, ma'am. Because every form that you fill out goes to the department head, goes to the mayor, goes to everybody affected. So sometimes you guys fill it out and you're specific, and sometimes it's very general. But the more specific you are, the easier it is for us to follow it up. So thank you. Appreciate it, ma'am. Hi, Councilman. This is former Councilman Anthony Higgs, former Councilman of the 3rd District.
Mayor, I've been the precinct committeeman in that precinct for over 30 years. That house has been abandoned for at least 4 years. For whatever reason, they're not fixing on the property. It's just sitting there abandoned, and no citation of anything has been given. And she lives 2 doors from the property. So I don't know why it's just sitting there and no one's doing anything about it.
I don't know either. We have 25,000 houses in the city of Hammond. So like off the top of my head, if you give me an address, I can't like Google map it in my brain and tell you what's going on with it, okay? But by filling it out like you did, we could follow it up. For all I know, we're in court on this property. We could be. So it could be privately owned. I have no idea. So we will follow it up, I promise you. Thank you, ma'am. And by the way, if you ever wonder where to call when you have a complaint, call my office. That's usually what people do. We'll put you in the right place. If you call my office with this complaint, we will transfer you to that department. Alex, true? Constituent services. So sometimes you're like, hey, I'll do respect to the precinct committee person in that area. I'm just going to talk to the precinct committeeman. That's fine. And hopefully that works, but you're a lot better off talking to the city. And I'm not supposed to say that, because old time politics are like, you go through the precinct committee. Call my office. Get the app. Put it in through the app. It'll get done. Felix Gonzalez. Yes. Felix is the head of Public Works. C-Click Fix. There's 2 departments that are heavy C-Click Fix. Code enforcement, Public Works. Tell me what you do every morning when you get to work.
Well, not me personally, but we have someone that oversees all the click fixes, writes all the tickets out, gives them to specific trucks that's their only job.
So if I put one in right now, I have a legitimate C-Click Fix. I put it in at 7 p.m. tomorrow morning at 4 in the morning, whenever you get to work. Yeah. You're literally on it.
Yeah.
The next morning.
Yep.
But if I go through my precinct committeeman, my precinct committeeman was like, hey, I'm talking to the mayor next week. And then you're like, why the hell isn't this getting done? Because I have to talk to the precinct committeeman. Hopefully the precinct committeeman doesn't forget about it and talk about something else, right? And it gets lost. You put it in a C-Click Fix, it doesn't get lost. It goes right to Felix the next day. Technology is great. C-Click Fix, you can download it. It's Hammond 311. We paid a lot of money to get this app. It puts the city logo right on your phone. You could reach graffiti removal, crime tips, everything's on there. You could call my office. My phone number's on there. You can call me right in my office. So anyway, I'll get off my high horse. Nick, first thing in the morning, you guys?
Yep, we reviewed 301s. And
you have hundreds, right?
Yeah, they're split between all.
Could you grab a microphone, Bo?
Yep.
This is the head of code enforcement. Nick Farrell, he lives in the 1st. The 1st is Robertsdale, North Hammond area.
Yeah, North Hammond. Yep.
That's the 1st.
We have 6 inspectors, so they come in, they log on to their accounts, and they pull all their 311s that were filed the day before, answer and acknowledge them. Most of the time, they already have action being taken against the properties that have violations reported. But yeah, it's definitely an app that's really helped us out with the new operating.
So Nick, when somebody comes, like this lady was saying, this property is a problem property.
Yeah.
Typically when people say that, you already know about the property, right?
Correct, yep.
And so because you're not the only one that's calling it in, ma'am, right? You and your neighbors probably, and I'm sorry, I'm not, in this case, I'm using you as an example, but we get hundreds of these, right? And usually it's not just one person that's calling in and we're like, wow, I didn't even know about that property. Usually it's 10 people are calling it in. We've learned about it, and usually we've already cited them and we're going through the court process, which is slow, but we have to go through the court process. We can't just say, we're finding you $1,000, pay up. You got, you get legal rights also. So we have to go through the process, and it's slow. And it's real slow if they're not cutting their grass. So we figured out ways to make sure that we can move quicker once we get through that judge, but we have to wait. That grass may be 2 feet long by the time we cite them, and it's gonna get 3 feet long before we get through the court process. But once we get through it, we can cut it more often. So we've learned some tricks over the years, but we need your help.
Yep.
All right. Where are we going? Hi, man. We were talking about a lot. We were talking about Seacook Fix, code enforcement.
I have a suggestion, Mayor.
Sure.
There's some of us who do go to neighborhood watch meetings, and I know when I'm going to call City Hall, I have a magnet on my refrigerator that has all the different offices, so I don't have to call you all the time.
Thank you.
And
I'm gonna renew that. We haven't done it in a while.
We actually just ordered them today.
Look at that. We're psychic.
And since everybody in the city of Hammond gets a water bill, possibly you could send that magnet out with a water bill?
Well, that's expensive, believe it or not, little things like that. We can get it to you easier, like a Mayor's Night Out,
Oh, well.
But if we put that in a water, it gets real complicated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, another suggestion, maybe in the letter of the water bill, you could remind people, instead of just putting their trash out for the city to pick up, they could actually call the city and ask them to pick it up. I know in my precinct, there was a couple of people that had their trash out forever.
Yeah.
So I finally
Thank you.
called, dear Mike, I didn't call Mike, I called the office. I called at 2:30 or 3 o'clock one afternoon, and it was 6:20 the next morning, and the city came out and picked up all it looked like they completely cleaned out their house, but they picked up that
Thank
stuff.
you.
So
That's a problem.
I can't thank Mike and his crew
Mike, stand
enough.
up. He's a hero of the forest. We all know it. If this guy starts raising money for politics, he's out of my administration.
And last night, my friend's tree was split, and I was supposed to call, and I forgot, and he went out before that storm, and they took care of it. I mean, it's
Thank you.
people like that that make the city work.
Thanks.
And I don't think they get enough thank you from the city, from people, and I think everyone needs to honor each and every one of us
You're sweet. Thank
for
you
the
very
work
much.
that we do,
Appreciate it.
for that they do.
All of us
So-
do this. I was doing some stats on our city. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. There's a lot of, we always focus on the stuff that's day to day, and it seems like we're fighting all the time trying to get by. We have some really positive things in our city. We really do. Like in the overall scheme of things, we own our water department. You know how much that water department's worth? We're not going to sell it. But if we wanted to, I think the Hammond Water Department's worth twice as much as the Gary Airport. Twice as much. It's great, and it's owned by the Hammond taxpayers. And I sometimes feel poor as the mayor, and I'm like, gosh, how are we going to put this budget together? We're trying to balance all these things. And then I think about, you know what? It's like we're cash poor, but on paper, Hammond's doing pretty well, guys. And interesting fact, the largest city worth assessed value, the highest assessed value of any city in Northwest Indiana, Hammond, Indiana. And we're not the biggest either. Gary's twice as big as us. We're the second biggest is crazy. Any idea? Second biggest taxable city in Lake County. Anybody? It's not Gary. Not East Chicago. Because, we're at steel mills and everything. All the houses, all the businesses. This is going to take a couple.
Crown Point?
Nope. Sherrville. Isn't that crazy? Second highest. They're behind Hammond, probably a decent clip. But Sherrville's the second highest assessed value city in Northwest Indiana. So it's interesting. I get down on myself sometimes and I get worried and I stress a lot about our city. And then when I look at stuff like that, I'm like, we're doing pretty good, guys. We just got to keep the big picture in mind. We're fighting through, but we're doing pretty good in the overall scheme of things. So, and I got a report I was going to talk about too, but we do have a lot of questions. So let's focus on our questions first. So, Eileen, you're doing great too. Eileen runs the Festival of the Lakes every year, and I haven't seen her since, but we had a great festival this year, and I know she's really happy that it's done because that's like her Super Bowl, those 5 days, and it turned out really well this year, so it's good to see you again.
Can the property adjoining Fire Station Number 8 be put on the trim site list? The grass is cut, but the trees are not trimmed around.
Are you talking about the
shootout.
old? Okay, who is this, if you don't mind? Hi, sir. Are you talking about the old firehouse?
No.
In the school, or the new firehouse?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm talking about the new firehouse, which would be the original Harding School.
Yes, sir. Okay. The west side then of the park, or?
This would be the
Okay.
the west side.
I have a
So-
tendency to focus on the east side of the park. Let me take a look at that.
So what had happened about 3 or 4 years ago, there was that federal plant tree deal, so they put a bunch of trees around there. It's not getting trimmed, and then the old cottonwoods are not being trimmed as well. Now, I did call Public Works, and unfortunately, the young lady who spoke to me said, that's not our property, and I tried to tell her it is city
Gotcha.
property.
She probably was getting mixed up
Right,
like I
and
did.
I spoke to the trim crews, which is probably not the right way to handle it. I spoke to the trim crews at Gibson and asked them if they could do it,
Thank you for doing it this way.
and they didn't do it.
You're at the right place.
But I will say, and it's on my question, your park department, there's a guy named Matt. This
Yeah.
guy's a beast.
Thank you.
On his own, he went all the way around
Where's Jim?
Gibson Park.
Where's Jim? Good job. Matt,
He went-
no, Matt, yeah.
He went all the way around Gibson Park where the curves are to the street where there was weeds growing, cut it all down. Then he came over to the firehouse area where I'm talking about, trimmed around every
Matt
tree,
Markham. He's a great
trimmed
guy.
the trees, and then went to the old cottonwoods and trimmed down brushes that were 10 feet high. He had,
Yeah.
I don't
Take
know,
it
he
easy.
probably
He's going to
came
ask me
by
for a
with-
raise after all this. So it's like,
I mean, the guy's incredible.
He's
And he
good.
did it all.
He's a Hessville guy.
He did it all on his own because he said, I wasn't busy at the splash park.
all right.
So he took it
That's
upon
good.
himself.
It's always good when
Yeah.
employees get mentioned in public like that.
Yeah,
And
so
his
anyway,
boss is right over there. So
I'm
thank
just
you.
wondering if that could get on the,
I guarantee you it's going to get filled up for sure. Right, Jim, could you grab a microphone? By the way, Jim lives right by there. You know Jim Talon? He's a Hessville kid. He lives on Kansas. So he sees this. Well, he probably doesn't see this little spot you're talking about because he goes. Right. What's up, Jim?
Yeah, I think Matt and Devin and his crew, we have 4 or 5 guys, and that's what they do. They run around and they handle 311 complaints for us, and they take care of, they weed eat and do the things that Felix and his crew can't get to. So that, yeah, that's good that he does that too. And Matt does take the extra step because he runs the splash pad and he's busy at MLK and Hessville Park. But when things are running well there, he's always out. You'll see him in MLK all the time, weed eating. So yeah, I'll let our staff know. It's good for them to get noticed.
But we're on this. So
Yes.
the west side of that park right there by Station 8.
Yep.
Cool. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. This is going to get done, I promise.
A
All right.
resident
Sorry.
has a question and concern regarding the June 14th flag burning ceremony that took place in Hessville, but it's not very specific.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I got it. So the Park Foundation does the flag retirement every year, and we have to have a fire truck there. So this was the first year. I know it's been done in multiple different areas. And this year, right behind Station 8, there was the concrete pad that we did the retirement in this year. And I think the way the wind was blowing, I know the resident that came out and talked to Devin and the crew that was doing this. So we've talked to Bernie, and we're going to do it at Central Station.
Bernie's the fire
moving
chief.
forward.
Bernie's the fire chief.
Moving forward. So it will not be done in that same area we're talking about. It'll be in Central Station. I believe they have a fire pit there where they can do this and do it properly.
Self-reported. Is that what you're going to ask about? Yeah. Self-reported. That's why Mayor's Night Out is great, by the way.
I just don't want to push it a little bit, but I did call the park department. I asked him to return the call to tell me why they did it in a residential neighborhood, and I did not get a response. So that's the reason I brought it up
Thanks.
tonight.
I'm
I
glad
would
you did.
appreciate it if I would have gotten a call back about it, because they came into a residential neighborhood and built a 4-foot by 4-foot bonfire and were burning synthetic flags, not on concrete, but on asphalt, and it's still got a 4-foot ring from the burnt asphalt there at this time. And it was not an appropriate place to be doing this.
Okay. I'm
Thank
sorry
you.
about that. I had nothing to do with it, but I'm sorry about it. I appreciate you bringing it up. I promise you it won't happen again. Thank you. Thanks for bringing it up. All right.
I understand that although Narcan is available for the Hammond Police Department, it is not required for officers to carry it on duty. Is this correct? If so, why not?
Before I pass off the microphone to the police chief, I want to say that what's going on right now in our streets with fentanyl is an epidemic, okay? It's killing people in our city more often than guns. That's a fact, what I just said. That fentanyl And overdoses are killing more people in Hammond than guns do, and cars. This is the leading cause of death in our city. So this is a serious issue. I know people that have been affected by this multiple times. I know people that have died, unfortunately. This is something we need to be talking to our kids about. Like, I talk to my kids about uncomfortable topics like this because I don't want them to die and take a pill or do something that is a fatal mistake. So I just want to say that as the mayor, this happens all the time. Unfortunately, I get texted when people overdose, and it happens more often than you'd imagine. And it's happening right now. So Narcan is the real deal. It'll save somebody that's overdosing. Chief, I'm not sure what the rules are on carrying it. Could you grab a microphone, Chief?
I believe the question was if it was required. It is required. All of our
All of our officers are carrying Narcan?
all of our first line officers carry Narcan.
Okay, that's great.
Squad, yeah.
How about you, Chief Bernie?
Yes, the fire department also, usually if even Hammond Police Department's on scene or responded to a call of an overdose, the Hammond Fire Department's already en route. We are there usually within a response under 2 or 3 minutes, so.
Good. So you guys are all carrying it?
Absolutely, yes,
Good.
sir.
So this, sometimes you hear rumors that are completely untrue, even stuff on Facebook, believe it or not. Yes, sir. Hi. Yeah, hold on, Kevin. Let me get the microphone. Hi.
Hi, Mayor. I just want to kind of relate to that because that incident happened a few months ago.
Which incident, Kevin?
There were 3 overdoses on our block.
I'm sorry.
And one came from one house that was about 4 houses down, and then one was right next door to me, and across the street next door. I live on a corner. And so, you know, the woman came out, she's screaming, help me, help me, help me, and then I go in, and we have to try to pull this guy out so that we can resuscitate him and things. Police officer showed up. He did have Narcan, okay, on him, but it was too late. And it was just an amazing thing to experience going through this whole thing, you know, and I saw it happen a few houses down from
On the same
there.
day?
It was just, pardon?
It was the same day?
No, within like a month
That's scary.
of each other, you know, and that was really weird.
Ken,
So-
and I'm glad you brought this up. This is an important topic. It could be a pill that looks exactly like the pills you take every day. If you don't know where every pill you get comes from, you cannot take it anymore. You cannot. Am I wrong, Chiefs? They're pills that look exactly like the ones you take every day, but they're pressed. Sometimes in Mexico, sometimes in China. They're pressed, they have fentanyl in there, and they're not measured. They're just dumping fentanyl and pills together, and they're pressing them, and they're sending them on our streets. And our kids are taking them. They're taking them right now. That's why we need to talk to our kids about that stuff. And it's a grown adult conversation we're having sometimes with little kids, but it's scary. So I'm glad you brought this up. I'm sorry you experienced that. That sucks. Yes, sir.
Are libraries and park districts equipped with Narcan?
Not sure. Park? I don't think we'd have them in the parks, right? Do your guys carry them? Probably not, right? So it's just seems like it's just first responders that are carrying them. I don't carry them as mayor.
I'm a librarian, and there's a trend nationwide that all
yes,
public
sir.
librarians
I agree with you.
like have that.
That's
so I think
smart.
Maybe something to look into.
If you guys if you work at Hammond Library?
No, at IU Northwest.
Well, you know, funny thing about Indiana is mayors don't have any input in the libraries, okay? So like the library is completely independent entity, and I would be totally open-minded to helping them if they requested it, because that's a good idea. And unfortunately, we get a lot of, situations in the library sometimes, so I'm glad you brought that up. And if you ever would talk to our library, or if anybody would, and they needed our help, I would hope my chiefs would help them, so. This is a good mayor's night out. Definitely active. It's good to see everybody again, by the way. Sometimes in the summer, people stop coming out. How you doing, sir?
Hi, Mayor.
Nice to see you.
I'm the one that wrote it.
Wrote
I have
what?
Narcan.
Oh, thank you.
I'm not a drug user. That's the biggest misconception. When I went into my pharmacist to get something refilled, he said, "Did you realize 2 of your medications can interact and cause that to happen?"
Yeah.
I did some education. There are literally hundreds of medications, quite a few that the kids take for everything overprescribed. The reason I asked it was because I had a friend visiting me. 2 of her medications interacted. Fortunately, I had it and was able to use it on her.
Thank you.
But the thing is, people don't realize your heart medication can interact with your sleep medication, antidepressants. Speak to your pharmacist. They're gonna know. I have 2 pharmacies that fill medications for me. Neither of them communicate with each other. So I had to ask each of them. I was fortunate. It's the pharmacy at Walmart on Cabela Drive. He comes up and says, yeah, this is that. So I give those guys props for looking out for everybody.
Thank you.
But like I said, people
This is a
don't
great topic
realize
we're having. I appreciate you
it's
bringing it
not
up.
just the drug users. Everybody who
No.
takes medications, just the way the pharmaceutical industry is, they're making them stronger, and we don't even know it.
Thank
So
you.
that's why I asked it.
Appreciate it.
Mayor.
Hi, Scott.
Hey. Just from my previous role, all the schools in Hammond have had Narcan in their nurse's office
Yeah?
since 2019. So
Even the elementary?
yes,
Yeah.
even the elementaries. And all
I mean, it could be a
they're all
parent in a
trained.
parking lot, right? Could be anything.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's so sad, but necessary. So it sounds like we're doing our job. Yes, ma'am. Oh, let me get the microphone over to you, okay? It's always like the farthest reaches of the room, it seems like. We need to get another microphone.
I was just wondering why they stopped the DARE program. You know, me growing up,
Mhm.
going to Gavin, we had the DARE program where an officer who would come
Right.
to the school
I know what you're talking about.
tell us why we shouldn't do drugs. And
Right.
why did they stop it?
Well, I could tell you with the cops, a lot of it's manpower, but I mean, it's not, we do have a section of our police department that interacts with the public, community affairs, and that's what used to run that program, but I'm not sure why it was discontinued. There was Darren Great a while ago, and I know they just went away, but getting cops in a school in a non-combative way is good, in my opinion, so maybe it's something we need to revisit, okay? Thank you. Yes,
in the
ma'am.
preschool, and we were able to call the police department and Lieutenant Mickey, I believe,
Yeah, she's
who was
over there.
amazing. Oh,
She is
she's
amazing.
the best.
She
She
is
came in and did
amazing.
a great job in our school, so they do come out if you ask.
Thank you.
I'm sure you have to, but they did a great job. Our kids still
Lieutenant
talk about
Mickey
it.
works in community affairs, funny enough. I was just talking about that division. She's a lieutenant in that
The
division.
kids talked about it the whole year.
And the
parents
reason we
loved it.
choose officers like Lieutenant Mickey to be in community affairs is because she's excellent and she interacts with the public great. So you'll find that those officers that you're calling for help, the community affairs, they're really charismatic officers and they're easy to get along with, that's good.
Loved
Good.
everything.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We just got done doing National Night Out, and we had a really great turnout this year. It was at the Pavilion. That's something that we're getting bigger each year in Hammond, and a lot of our communities that are around us, they make a huge deal out of it. So we took the challenge on a couple of years ago, and we're trying to get bigger and bigger. So next year when we do National Night Out, help me out and take the kids up there and go check it out. All of our cops are up there, the SWAT team, the sheriff brings his helicopter. So it's good stuff. So, all right, let's do another question. Seems like we got a lot today.
Does the city offer tree trimmings in front of sidewalks?
Well, okay. I'm gonna answer this.
It's not specific whether it's on your side.
Because
or-
I don't feel like going to federal prison anytime soon. So, and people have gone to federal prison over trees and stuff like that. So I would say this: we have a person in the city. It's a what do they call those? Arborist. Thank you. It's like one of those words. Arborist. He's excellent, by the way, and he works on city trees, of course. Now, trees that are close to a house, like if it's in your yard, we can't touch it. If it's on the parkway, we can, right? Yes. Parkway between the sidewalk and the street, we could touch those. So it really depends on the situation. And this is competitive also. Like if it's a dangerous situation, they take priority. But we have 25,000 houses in the city of Hammond, and that means we have about, quick math, let's just call it 100,000 trees in the city of Hammond, okay? And 80,000 people, so it's a challenging job.
Mayor, the only other thing I would add to that is that, like you mentioned earlier, the aggressive stance that the city's taken now under your leadership for high grass, we also added in that ordinance dangerous trees or falling trees. That doesn't mean, what that means is we can give you a 10-day notice, Nick and Kelly and his team and all the inspectors can give a 10-day notice to a property owner that has a dangerous tree in his property. If we have to cut it down, the cost of that goes on your taxes. So that's different.
On
than
the property, the
Correct.
dangerous tree property tax.
Correct,
Right.
correct. So that would be the only time we'd go on someone's property
Gotcha,
to do it.
gotcha.
And we give
But
them
if we have a
notice.
court order.
And they'd have to pay it.
Right,
Yeah,
right. That's
so-
just like when we cut your grass, if you make us cut your grass because you failed to do it, we'll cut your grass. It would have been a lot better off if you cut your grass because we will lien your property for that grass, and it's an expensive cut. So, it's better when you do it yourself, when you own the property. So, and I'm talking to a bunch of great homeowners, by the way, because people that show up to Mayor's Night Out are usually the ones that are working with us to try to solve problems. So thank you for being here. So,
Mayor?
yes.
Devin's on vacation this week. He must have known these questions were coming, so he sent me he did
He's
send me a
watching.
text.
We are on Go
Yeah.
Hammond TV.
He said they've removed over 31 trees in the 4th this year, and he has 24 more with the contractor now that should be coming. So if there's trimming, you can reach out to him, and he does come out and look. And
I think he's a little bit jealous because Matt Markham got so many.
Yes, yeah.
And Devin's like, what about me? So Devin's also a Hessville guy. I noticed the park department has an unusual number of Hessville people. It's really weird. And I didn't say I'm going to put all the Hessville people in the park department, but it sort of worked out that way. It's weird. Jim's from Hessville, by the way. All right, what do we got?
Not every neighborhood's east and west streets have sidewalks. Is this structurally possible? It would help Hammond be more walkable. Also, congrats on finishing downtown.
That's nice. I love sidewalks. I'm a cyclist. I don't think you're supposed to use sidewalks, so I just admitted to an ordinance violation. I apologize, but I'm a big believer in sidewalks. I think everybody should have sidewalks. If we don't, we should prioritize it, but we do have financial constraints that we have to live with also. So if you are one of those areas that doesn't have a sidewalk, I would make Dean my best friend. Dean is city engineer. Dean, could you raise your hand? He doesn't have to be your best friend, but he should be on the friend list, okay? And I would talk to Dean, and Dean's also the chairman of the Capital Improvement Board. Capital Improvement Board is where a lot of our gaming money goes, and unfortunately for us, our gaming boat's not doing as well as it used to. Down over 30% at this point. And that's dollars and cents, that's $13, $14 million a year. Real loss. So everybody wants to go to Hard Rock now. Nobody wants to go to Horseshoe. So we've been preparing for this for a long time. I knew that was a gift that we were getting. It wasn't going to be there forever. So thankfully for us, we built up reserves and other revenue sources that are helping us out through these tough times right now. But the real tangible effect of that gaming revenue dropping is in the streets, because we've always used that revenue for our streets. And now that the gaming revenue is dropping, the amount of investment into our streets is dropping also, and that's something we're going to be talking about, unfortunately. So thank you for the question.
What will happen with the narrow road from Calumet to Harrison?
That's that same area we were just talking about, right? From Calumet
This
to
is a different,
yeah. Narrow road from Calumet to Harrison.
if the resident's here and wants to
Help me.
expand.
Hi, thank you. I ride my bike all the time in this area, so.
It's on 177th River Drive,
Gotcha,
whatever
gotcha,
you want
gotcha.
to call that.
Gotcha, so the underneath the
It's
8094?
real It doesn't go under 8094.
No, okay, that's not the
From
one.
Calumet to Harrison,
Okay.
in front of Reaper's Realm.
Oh, gotcha. That
You
one.
got that beat-up road where I've been hit twice on.
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
the
I got
winter.
you now. So you're talking about the road in front of the Haunted House?
Right.
What's
where
gonna happen
the
with that?
homeless people hang out
Well,
and all that.
That's, yes. I know Councilman Emerson started off the meeting talking about the Haunted House project. Let's go ahead and talk about that, because it'll help clear up your question, okay? The city is in the process of acquiring that property through eminent domain. The Myers family, which has owned that property for its entire existence, they didn't want to sell it to us. But they're not putting money into the property either. So we think that our city would be best served if we took that property and redeveloped it and made it look like, our goal is to make it look like what we did in Hessville. We call it Oxbow Landing, but some of you may know it by the old River Park Apartments. So that area was a negative for a long time. When I became mayor, we acquired it, demolished the property, and redeveloped the entire area. And now it's worth $60, $70 million. So we want to do the same thing with the Haunted House site, ma'am. Okay, and when we do, there's not going to be anybody sleeping there illegally. It's going to be cleaned up and nice.
I'm not saying the site itself,
Mhm.
but that road.
Well,
It's
the
like
road-
a frontage road.
Yes. The road,
That road itself. It's got the trees hanging over it.
yes, I know what you're talking about, yeah.
That.
It'll
That's
be,
what I'm talking
that whole
about.
area will be redeveloped, brand new. It'll be a new road. It'll be a new
So all the
development.
traffic will be coming down that
No,
way?
that's something we're gonna have to protect your neighborhood from that traffic. We will have to make it so that it's a
'Cause-
cul-de-sac or something.
Well, we're on a cul-de-sac.
Well, I mean, I haven't worked through the traffic. I'm sure Dean's thought about this, but believe me, ma'am, I don't even know if we're prepared to tell you, but like, I'm gonna point to another part of the city, okay? So you live right there, and you're probably worried that we're gonna put some mega development there, and all the traffic's gonna come through your neighborhood, right?
Like it does when there's
But
a
I want to tell
haunted
you,
house and
I
the
want to tell you,
fireworks.
that is not going to happen. That is not going to happen, okay? That is not. I'm here April 28th, Mayor's Night Out, Edison. Your neighborhood, right over there, off of Harrison, right by the haunted house. I'm going to protect that neighborhood from that traffic.
Okay.
But it's going to impact you, though. That means maybe it's a one-way. Maybe you could only go to Calumet from there, and to come into your neighborhood, you have to come off of Harrison. You know, and I haven't talked to Dean about this, but we cannot let that traffic from that development through your neighborhood, okay?
Okay.
We're on the same page. Harrison is too skinny to allow that kind of traffic through it.
Mhm.
We're on the same page, 100%, I promise you. I know exactly what you're talking about, okay?
Okay.
Okay, I'm on it. And Dean and I have talked about this. Dean, are you comfortable talking about this issue? Have you thought about this further? You know what we're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
Right.
the mayor.
We had this situation by Cabela's. I didn't mean to cut you off. By Cabela's. We had this exact situation with the neighborhood. Cabela's wanted to, picture if you're in Cabela's. Cabela's wanted the traffic to exit Cabela's also onto Northcott. And we said, no way. We're not having all the Cabela's traffic empty onto Northcott because that neighborhood will get ruined with traffic. And we blocked it. We said no. Now, if you look at that area, they have an emergency exit. Like if things are on fire and we need to get there quick, we have that option to go through there, but we have to unlock the gate or cut it open. There will be some similar type of protection for your neighborhood, I promise you, okay? I don't know what it is because I'm not the engineer, but you understand the problem.
Exactly, yeah. We'll make sure that the neighborhood's protected. That's always been your focus, right? And
Yes.
Related to if we wanted to close a street on State Line, for example.
Yes.
We went through the neighborhood. We made sure to protect the neighborhood.
We don't want that traffic going in your neighborhood, ma'am. We're on the same page, okay? Thank you. Thanks for bringing that up. Thank you. And Councilman Emerson's on the same page too, I guarantee you.
What can be done about vehicles running red lights on Calumet Avenue and 177th?
Yeah. Just that one? Yeah. Calumet 177th, okay, that's the bridge. I mean, that's a dangerous intersection. That used to be a big bike crossing, and we built that bridge almost because of this exact problem at this exact location. And it was an expensive fix, but for what it's worth, the federal government paid for most of it, for that beautiful bridge right there. That's a dangerous crossing. And we had families that would go across to try to stay on that bike trail, which is why we built that bridge. So, but I guess the question is, what are we gonna do about dangerous driving? Chief, I know you have a whole section of your patrol unit every day that we call traffic, right? Your patrol cops are crime fighters, and then you have like a traffic unit, right?
Yes, I do.
And the traffic, they respond to like racks and other ones that issue tickets and things like that, right?
Yes, our motorcycle group, I would have them, I would dispatch them over there in that area so they can saturate that with tickets or whatever they have to do.
Yeah.
To curb that.
But, yeah, okay. All right, thank you. All right. Okay, yeah.
I'm not sure if this is a question or just a comment. 171st and Harrison, stop sign on Harrison for school walkers?
Okay. 171st and Harrison. I can't,
Right over here.
hi. Felix.
If you're headed toward, so you have to, if you're headed towards the train, like Harrison, this is 171st, and you go to Harrison, runs parallel with where the train will be in the back.
Right.
To go, there's stop sign, so at the three-way, there's just a stop sign on 171st, but not on Harrison.
Oh, I know what you're talking
And
about.
we have my kids walk to school, so they have to walk across traffic that doesn't stop.
Let's write that down.
And then the concern is when the train comes in, if people are trying to get around, like, Holman or something, they try to work a way around the train or get
Okay.
to, there'll be more traffic on 100, or on Harrison, sorry.
Uh-huh.
So there. And then also just like a crosswalk for kids crossing. And then from that
Did you write, is this a written question, ma'am?
Yes, I
Good.
wrote it down.
Good.
I don't think I wrote it clear. And then
Could we
from-
make sure that that's forwarded to the engineering office, of course?
and then
Absolutely.
From there, from where I live on Harrison and 171st to here Edison, there's not sidewalks all the way down, again, for walkers and kids. So
Right.
a lot of times the kids walk on the street, which is not safe
Gotcha.
either.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
What will happen to the sand that will be excavated in building Governor's Parkway Bridge through the last unprotected remnant of the High Tolleson shoreline dunes in Hessville?
The state is running that job. I'm not sure. Dean, do you know what's going to be done with the sand? I know the state is running this
Well,
job.
they need sand and fill for the approaches to the bridge, so they'll probably be importing more material than they'll
It'll
be
be imported
taking.
sand?
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay, but who, I mean, do you know which company is it that's doing that?
The design firm is Crawford Murphy and Tilley that's doing the design for the state.
Uh-huh.
The
And
Department
is
of-
the engineering, has the construction firm been picked, or?
No, letting's about a year out still.
Thank you. Okay. Imported sand.
With the accident that happened at the Hagwish South Shore train line, how is Hammond South Shore train line going to implement safety precautions to help avoid that from happening here?
I have no idea about this at all. I didn't even know there was an accident at the Hegwish station, being honest. But before we get into this, I want to remind everybody that the South Shore Line is operated by Northern Indiana Commuter Transportation District. It's called NICD. They run that line, and the safety is their responsibility, including the safety of the Hammond stations, the Munster station, and the Dyer station, or the Dyer Munster. So anyway, yes, sir. Hi.
How you doing, Mr.
Good.
McDermott?
Thank you for being here.
Gary411news.com.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah.
It's good to
So,
see you.
with
That's
the-
Gary 411 News. So that's a
Right.
publication in the city of Gary. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. With the with the
You're
death
the only
of-
media here. Thank you very much, by the way. Besides Hammond, Go Hammond TV, of course. You know.
Right, right.
Yeah.
With the death of Grace Biskowski.
I'm
yeah.
sorry, I don't know much about it, but I appreciate you bringing it up.
Yeah, right. So I'm informing you. So with her dying, July 25th, she's a young journalist like myself. What warning signs can be implemented, or automatic gates that can be implemented to?
Did she
as
get
well
killed
as-
on the platform itself, or going across a crossing?
I believe a crossing.
Oh,
it was a
it's a
westbound
crossing.
train.
Okay.
Right.
See,
so
I'm-
the thing is that how can we protect these kids that also are being withheld bus service? How can we help them, in better ways to being safety, or safe?
I mean, we had this issue in schools last year as well when a publication out of Washington, D.C. covered our kids going to Scott Middle School, and unfortunately, there was parents that dropped these kids off, and the kids were going across a stopped train. And they were filmed by ProPublica publication. It went viral. National, viral. Hammond, Indiana was in the news. Washington, D.C. got involved. We were working real closely with the Department of Transportation. Former mayor of South Bend, Pete Buttigieg, and I know each other well. Secretary Buttigieg got involved with the city of Hammond. We had a whole team, including the councilman, working together to try to fix this issue. And it's not an ideal fix, but there is a fix that the Department of Transportation is willing to foot the bill for. It'll solve the problem. It's just not, in my opinion, I don't want to say it's ugly, but it's not great looking. But it would solve the problem. Could you get here, one more? Yes. I don't think it's ugly, but it's not ideal, but it would get the kids over.
I agree
Right.
with you fully. You've been a great mayor.
Thank you.
Personally, for my sake. But the thing is, I drove from Lincoln Elementary all the way to Turner Park today, and I saw so many students that were coming even from Hammond Central, and there was no signage. They have to cross about 4 or 5 busy streets to even get to school. So if that bus service, I know.
I mean, you're talking. I
they have
mean,
to
I
be
don't
in a
run the
certain
buses.
radius.
I don't run the buses for the schools, though. I mean, you're sort of barking up the wrong tree. 'Cause
Right.
I didn't. I don't even know why they made. I imagine I know why they made that decision, but I don't know the facts behind
Right.
it.
I got you.
I'm not trying to be disrespectful either. Sometimes.
No, you're
good.
You're good. Yeah, okay.
But,
I
I mean,
understand.
the schools are challenged, though, and so are the Gary schools, and so are all the public schools. And
Right.
I don't need to tell my chief of staff, because my chief of staff knows better than anybody. The big problem in the public school system, in my
Right.
opinion,
I concur.
in my opinion, is the supermajority downstate wants to break them.
Yeah.
Is this controversial that I said this? But this is the truth. I'm a truth teller, okay? They are cutting off millions of dollars of funding to the Hammond Public Schools, and then whoever's the superintendent of the public schools has to make horrible decisions about which schools are going to be closed, which teachers are going to be laid off, which bus routes are going to be shut down. And these are horrible decisions that no superintendent wants to make. Like, I'm sure that they'd say, I'd rather have $5 million and keep this thing running. But they are cut it off. And so, like, unfortunately, it's easier for us, and I'm not talking about us, I'm just saying, unfortunately, society nowadays blames the person closest to you. That, like, it's your fault. You're the one that's doing this. And it's really difficult to understand, but downstate, they killed us. They killed us in the legislature, and unfortunately, it's this person that has to effectuate what's going on. But it's not that person's fault, you know? So this is a really sad situation to me, because Hammond Public School System is the crown jewel of our city, and it's not fair what's going on, and it's sad. And I'm picking up a lot of great employees in the civil city. I am. I'm scooping up great employees that are fleeing the school system right now, and it's sad. Thank you for bringing it up, sir. This job will give you gray hair. I don't know why I don't have a lot of gray hair. I'm getting there, but so I'm just happy I've still got it. So let's move on. Yeah. Hi, sir.
Hi.
Thanks for coming.
Okay. My name is Freddy Hernandez. I've been living in Hammond since, 4 years ago?
Thank you.
And I want to say that I've been coming here for 14 years, so I've been seeing the difference.
Thank you.
Sometimes people don't see what they have.
Thank you.
Okay? And I believe we are responsible for our own families, our kids, and we got to teach them. We got to show them. That's important. And I can believe that people is worried about how you call it, the doorbell rings, instead of being worried about people passing away because overdoses.
Yes, sir.
Come on. The more we have, the more we want.
Yes, sir.
Come on. You're fantastic.
Thank you. I tried.
Okay? No, it's true. But people...
I'm going to clip that and save it.
No,
if
no,
you
no.
don't mind.
No.
Just clip that part. Yeah. I'm going to play it for Marissa. She'll love it.
But people, please wake up and see what you have.
Thank
There
you.
are places that are worse than this. This is fantastic.
You're beautiful.
That's why I decided to... I did my homework before I bought my house over here.
Thank you.
So,
I did
hey,
too. Thank you.
good job.
I love you. Appreciate you. Thank you for being here. You got to come to every mayor's night. I hope you're good with that. How are we doing on questions, Eileen?
A lot of comments towards the end.
Let's keep on going. So we got quite a few left.
Yes, quite.
Yeah. Okay.
quite a
So
bit.
we're going to start focusing more on the written question. Okay. So let's go.
We do have quite a bit comments, so.
All right. I love comments.
A resident here, I'm hoping they are still here. It says, I would like to speak about the disparities that exist between low-income families, homelessness, renters' rights, and evictions in Indiana. And it is specific to the Hammond Housing Authority and Saxony Townhomes.
Okay.
There is an attachment in case they don't want to speak up.
Hi. How you doing, ma'am?
Thank you. Hi. My name is Melkima Bonds. I've been a resident of Hammond for over 10 years.
Thank you.
And I would like to share that I am a person with disabilities, and I am of low income, and I also have an autistic 7-year-old daughter. Specifically, we were evicted from Saxony Townhomes due to having too much clutter.
Yeah.
And in the...
This starts making me uncomfortable when we do this kind of stuff because it's your private information and this is on TV.
I understand, but it's a shame that I have to resort to doing this, to come in
I
here
know.
to discuss this issue, because everybody that I'm calling, I'm not getting any return calls,
Okay.
mail, anything.
I appreciate you. I do, and I want to talk to you honestly about how the mayor's role in this kind of stuff, okay? Like, I know Carmen Paniagua. She's been running the Housing Authority for, I want to say 15 years. Is that fair? 13? It was pretty close. And she is excellent at her job. And I'm not trying to disparage anything that you're saying. She runs a very difficult department, and she does a great job, okay? And unfortunately, she has to do a lot of stuff like this in part of her job, and I have no idea about the specifics of your case. I have no idea, and I imagine you have legal rights. Kevin, is that true? As a tenant in a case like this, that like she has legal rights.
I'm sorry, Meredith.
No, I'm wondering.
Yeah, I was just going to say, obviously it's hard to be on the city side to give any legal advice regarding that. Of course, we have the legal aid department.
I'm not asking you to give. I'm just sort of like she has
Sure,
rights.
of
right?
course she does. Yeah, and I don't know the situation either, ma'am, regarding the eviction or what your lease even says, for example. So
Right.
those would be things that I think if you wanted to go to legal aid department, or if you can
Yeah,
afford a
that's-
lawyer, you can do that.
Is that a conflict though? I'm sure legal aid. Where's
No,
Chris?
but we can always refer her over. Oh, Chris is here, I think,
Yeah,
actually.
Chris,
so.
is she? This is the one. Is she here? Oh, hey, there you are. You were hiding behind Bob. Bob was hiding.
Bob's just taller than I.
You are. Yeah, you were behind the mountain of men.
As you know, that we've talked about a lot too at staff meetings. Sometimes our hands are tied with the evictions because people don't tend to understand that if you don't have a lease, it's 30 days.
Well, in a
They
case
can
with
put-
Hammond Housing, though,
Yeah,
is that
well,
a conflict for you?
We've done them. No,
Okay,
we've done them,
okay.
and we work with them.
Good, okay.
Sometimes we've been able to work it out, sometimes not.
Good.
And there's also.
So maybe there's an option for you, ma'am.
Well, also there's I think Carmen understands, and it's hard for us to explain to clients sometimes, that, there's all kinds of guidelines that they have to follow, and if the tenant doesn't follow those, then they can get rid of them. There's nothing we
Right.
can do.
Okay.
So.
So let's hear. I don't want you to get into your specifics, though, because I don't want you putting your personal information out, ma'am. Okay. That's what I'm like trying to watch out for you here. I don't want your
appreciate
dirty
that.
laundry aired
But
out.
I'm glad that Ms. Carmen's name was also mentioned because, I'm sorry, it's personal, that I was a Housing Choice Voucher recipient, and my voucher got taken because of a missed appointment that I never got in the postal mail. How do you make someone homeless who's been on a program for over 10 years and hasn't given you any grief
Right.
and snatch a voucher and leave a disabled person
Okay.
and
How
a
about we do
child
this?
homeless?
How about we do this? How about you hang out until after the meeting, and I'm gonna have my chief of staff jump in with Carmen. Okay. Okay. Because I don't want to do this in public. Okay. I appreciate you being here. Okay. And we're gonna jump in and try to help you out and see if there's anything we could do. Okay. But I definitely don't want to do this on TV. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah. Okay, Carmen, you hang out after.
Oh, yeah.
Hi.
So, hi, how you doing?
Hey, Carl.
So
Fourth District, right?
What's that?
You're from the Fourth, right?
Yeah, I walked here.
That's right. Good.
So on the Housing Choice Voucher and just the Housing Authority in general, can you give us a sense as to what opportunities the Housing Authority has taken on over the last 3 or 4 years? I guess I haven't been paying well enough attention regarding an increase in vouchers that have been available at the federal level, ARPA dollars that have come through for housing, for supportive housing, and other, just what housing opportunities have come about to the Housing Authority over the last 3+ years that the city can lift up.
This is Carmen Paniagua. She's a resident of the First. She's been running the Housing Authority for 13 years. And we have last I checked, we had about 800 vouchers a year in the city.
We have 898.
Is
to be exact.
that one of the larger in Northwest Indiana?
No, I believe Gary has more than us.
Okay.
Yes.
But are we second?
We're probably about third in Northwest Indiana.
Okay.
Yes, so we have 898 right now. We had those for we actually got the last edition back in 2013 when we demoed units. We got additional vouchers then. So right now we're at 898. Out of those 898, currently we have about 791-ish leased up, and that's usually because of our funding, how many we can support. Because of the funding that we receive, how many we can afford to support.
So Carm, and then a little bit about the last, I don't want to talk specifically, okay? But like, unfortunately, I know that this probably is a part of your job, right? Is situations come up where you have to like move action
Absolutely.
against a tenant, right?
Yes. And sometimes it is definitely not the best decision or the decision we want to make, but unfortunately.
You're a super nice person. I know this about you, but like, you're also very professional about your job.
Yes, and we try to work with the families. Sometimes we stretch it a little too much.
Okay.
But it is not our job to make the people homeless.
Right.
We try to give
In
them
fact,
opportunity.
you're doing anything but that. That's why you have the program. Okay, so I'm glad Scott and you will get together with the lady that was speaking earlier, and we'll see if there's anything possible. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
So can I just follow up, though? I mean, like, have there been any increases in housing programming over the last 3 or 4 years because of the the funding that's been available at the federal level? ARPA, an increase in vouchers, anything
Not
since
for
COVID?
vouchers that we received, no, we did not. I know sometimes through Awana's department, they do receive some for homelessness. They have some funding on that side,
Okay.
but not for vouchers.
And any kind of supportive housing development, anything like that?
No.
No, okay.
No.
Thanks, man. Hi.
I guess my question would be in regards to the lady with disabilities and
Hey, Councilman,
housing.
we're not gonna go in there anymore. Okay, we're gonna do it after. Okay, no offense. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I just don't want to, because we're airing her dirty laundry out on TV. I just don't want to do that. I don't think it's respectful. So we can handle it off the camera. So, all right, no disrespect. So, hey.
When will we?
Hey, let me go through and recognize the elected officials in attendance. Okay. First off, I want to thank Councilwoman Janet Vanez for being here. Thank you very much, Councilwoman. Councilman Dan Spitali, thank you very much. Thank you. Hammond's 2nd District Councilman Al Salinas. Of course, our 4th District Councilman Bill Emerson. Councilman Dave Warple was here for a little bit. We'll give him a couple claps. All right. All right. So thank you, Councilman Dave Ham, also Lake County Councilman. Good to see you, Dave. All right. I think I got it. And former Councilman Anthony Higgs, former 3rd District Councilman. Good to see you, Councilman. And then our former at-large Councilman Bob Markovic. Good to see you, Bob. All right. Thanks for coming. It's good to see everybody.
When will we get the design and estimate for an underpass on Grand Avenue crossing that was promised by NDOT?
I'm not sure. That's an NDOT question. I didn't even know that was, no, that's not a City of Hammond question, so. What's the question?
Yeah, Mayor, that goes along with the Governor's Parkway Bridge. And the last word we got from Dean Button and the Indiana Department of Transportation on this project was that they were going to get back to us with an estimate
Dean Button wouldn't say
on
that,
an
'cause
underpass.
The City of Hammond's not working on
And
that.
it was, and it
You're at
was.
Mayor's Night Out, Mayor of Hammond. We're not running this job.
Mayor,
Ken.
this is Dean Button's project. You
No.
have, are
This
you
is NDOT's
disclaiming NDOT now?
This is NDOT's project, Ken. NDOT is driving the bus on this. Listen, I'm not going to argue about this. Let's just move on. Let's go. It's like asking me about a busing decision in the City of Hammond. I feel for people, but I'm not making that decision. I can't talk about something that we're not running. We have. It is not. Yes. So, all right. Nice to see you, bud. From NDOT. From NDOT. Ken, sit down. Thank you. No. Dean, did you promise an underpass study?
No, sir.
I didn't think so. It's NDOT's job. Am I incorrect here?
You're correct, Mayor.
That's what I thought. Because like the City of Hammond's not working on this, Ken. I hate to break it to you.
It's 100% being designed by the state.
It's what? We'll believe it. Well, it's on tape. You can play it back if you want. All right. All right, let's move on.
Regarding animal control, why does it take so long for animal control to bring out a cage for a stray cat, to trap stray cats?
Good. We all looked at Chief of Police on that one. Like every head up here turned to the Chief of Police. I didn't even touch that one. So. Chief?
How long did it take them to bring it? How long did it take them to bring
Kind
the
of
cage
go
out?
back real quick, bring up some history. Back in February, we gave the animal control deposit of $25. So when the weather got warm, we were waiting for this cage to come out. It never did. And every time we would call, they'd say, well, you're next, you're next, you're next, you're next. They came out one time, I think it was you left for Europe for 3 months, okay? So when it came out, it was towards sometime in
Andy
May.
went to Europe for 3 months?
Yeah.
Oh, you did. I was like,
She left me here with the cats. So anyway, they came out and they brought it out. So I didn't know the policy on everything. I thought they would bring the cage back after Friday, but they said I was moved down the list. So I kept calling. A week or two went past, and I'm still on the list. I don't know, what position I'm in. So I went out and bought a cage myself. In 2 weeks, I caught 2 cats and 3 kittens. So I've been still waiting for another cage because my rationale is if I already purchased a cage and if animal control can bring out 1 more, we can catch the other 3 cats roaming in my yard that would kind of resolve the problem. That's it.
You want a job in animal control? Sounds like you're halfway there.
Well, I'll think about it.
Chief, you want to get together with this gentleman and figure out what's going
Yeah, I will get a hold of the person that's running our animal control, and I'll make sure that's taken care of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, sir. We got one over here, Eileen. I'm trying to limit the raised hands at this point so we can get through the written questions. So. Hi, sir.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. I'll make this really quick.
It's okay.
For the dog licenses, for the pet licenses, I don't know if a lot of people know about it. I mean, I hear a lot on like the Hammond Facebook groups that a lot of people are just unaware about that.
Yeah.
What is it, the
I agree
dog
with you.
licenses and
I agree
things
with you.
Maybe that could stand for more promotion. I mean, it's
I
really
agree with
heartbreaking to see like the lost dogs
I agree
on
with you.
these Facebook groups, but I think a lot of people, we should bring awareness to these dog tags. That's really helpful because
It's
the
so
police
little,
finds
yeah.
the dogs and then they find the license attached to it and the dog goes back to the owner or the cat goes back to the owner. So.
Great. Thank you. Great point. Appreciate it. We've talked about this before, but sometimes you don't follow it up. That's a great point. Thanks.
The remainder 2 that I have are comments. However, there is no address. It is regarding a garage addition that a neighbor did.
Okay.
If
Let's
they'd
see
like
if we
to
can pull
provide
it up.
that afterwards.
Sure. Sure. So a comment about a garage with an attachment, and so you want to talk about it, or?
We can get the address afterwards. Yep. It is pretty lengthy.
Mm-hmm.
His garage
Okay.
back in August of 2022. So I called about it in the summer of 2023, and it was very unsightly. It didn't look like it was completed, and it was just no progress. The surrounding area looked very unsightly. It looks like a dump. So I was told that I had to wait, and they had until August of 2023. So August of 2023, I called and asked, was there an inspection? Is it in code? And I was told that that an inspector went out, but there was no one at home. And I said, well, aren't you going to follow up? Well, so between August of 2023 and current, I have reached out to code enforcement, and I'm getting nowhere.
Yeah, you might be going to the wrong place, though. So I think that's more of a building issue. Is it, Bob?
Yes, if it's a homeowner's permit, any permit's good for a year. After that, they would have to request an extension.
That's what happens sometimes, ma'am, and I'm glad you brought this up here, because sometimes you guys are going to the wrong place and running into roadblocks. And in this case, I'm glad you brought it up here, because we're going to steer you on the right way, and we'll get Bob involved in this situation, because it sounds more like a code issue as far as what's going on with the with the clutter. But I think this is more a building issue.
And if there was no inspections, that would be a concern. If you could give me the address,
Why don't you
I'll look into it.
We're going to be done in a couple minutes here, ma'am. Why don't you go up and talk to Bob
Yeah.
on the conclusion of Mayor's Night, if you don't mind. Thank you. Appreciate it. Bob's right there. He's the building inspector. Okay. See, that typically happens. Sometimes people go through, in this case, it would have been more direct to go to the building department. So. Right. Yes, ma'am.
Refrigerator on the outside of the garage, and I felt that was unsafe. I thought you couldn't have a refrigerator outside. And
I'm
so
sure
I
that's
fought
probably-
to get that, and I finally found that they did remove it. But it's still, it looks like a dump.
See, this is a perfect example of what I talked about at the beginning of Mayor's Night, when you'll be calling up and we're like, this involves so many different departments. We created a new position. That's the kind of thing Alex works on. I'm ticking off multiple departments as you're talking to me. So we're going to have people jump on it for you. Thank you. Oh, look at that. Yep. Miss Print loves Alex. All right. Last comment.
Last
favorite-
comment of the night
my
regarding
favorite.
housing. no meetings with residents, no improvements to building, need security for resident safety, and takes forever to get things fixed.
And which building in particular?
Regarding housing,
Hi. Nice to see you, sir.
I stay in the Golden Manor
Okay.
Senior Apartments.
Yeah.
And first of all, we need security around there, okay? I see the police cars come through the parking lots every now and then. I've been there for almost 4 years, and there has been no improvement to the building. They've been saying about our balcony's gonna be put back up. Every time we mention it to somebody, it's always excuse here, excuse there. We don't have any, the staff don't have any meetings with the residents about anything. I mean, we paying rent every month. It hasn't, since I've been there, it hasn't been but one improvement to that building, and that was putting new key fobs in the building. So that is ridiculous. I mean, first of all, with the safety of the building, you have seniors there, so it should be some kind of security.
I'm sure you're aware that we recently got control of this building. It was owned by a company that we were in litigation with for 5 years. And we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars so we could get control of that building. And we've recently come into control of the building. And
Yes.
it's going to take a couple for us to get ready to fix it up. Honestly, it's millions of dollars you're talking about. We don't have millions of dollars sitting around. But we got the old management out of there, as I'm sure you're aware.
Yes.
And,
But
you
if
know.
you communicate with the
I
residents
agree with you.
about things, you know,
Okay.
I think that'll make
That's fair.
that'll make the residents feel a lot more.
Okay, that's
you
fair.
know, yeah.
I appreciate that. That's legit, for sure. Thank you,
As
sir.
far as the security, that small fella back there in the southeast part of the room, he runs the security outfit over there. I definitely know that. And I know we have about,
Yeah.
that little guy right there, the little one.
He's a Hammond guy.
Just like the mayor said, we currently took over the building. The last management didn't like the police hanging around the building. They thought it scared the residents. They thought it intimidated people. So they kind of wanted us to step away for a while. That's what the management, was telling us. Now that the housing authority's taken over, we try to implement more officers walking around. And sometimes there's COVID restrictions. Some of the elderly people, some of the guys get sick. They don't want to walk around because they don't want to get people sick. So I know there was an issue a little bit earlier this year with some people being sick and then people were being isolated. But we are outside. We do drive the parking lot. We have been tagging cars that don't belong there. We do maintain the lighting. We check over midnights. You might not see us, but we're out there. So we do walk the building, but it's mostly in the evening hours when it's quiet. I hope you do see some of the officers that work out there because I walk the halls myself. I know a couple of the guys that walk the halls too. I interact with some of the residents there. So we don't work full-time out there. It's a part-time job for us, but we are doing our best to try to maintain the safety as much as possible. But like the mayor said, now that we've taken over, improvements are going to start happening. You're going to see us more often because I know Carmen wants us in that building. She wants interacting with the residents. So you will see more of us. I promise you that. And we'll do our best to keep you guys safe.
Residents want security
No,
walking around.
I totally understand. And that's like the mayor said, the last people that were managing the building were a little difficult. And
We were literally suing each other. I mean,
Yes.
they were suing us, we were suing them. We were trying to get the building so that, so that we were in charge of it, so that we could eventually fix it up. Sir. I mean,
so
legit.
you have my word. We'll be in there. You'll see us. You'll see
Thanks,
my
Eddie.
face. And we'll be around a lot more often now.
I don't sleep well at night, so I see you guys when you ride through, and sometime I'm walking
We
through
see
the
you.
building myself.
We see you. We see you out there.
Yeah.
We know who belongs and who doesn't belong. We try to maintain the peace out there. We try to keep the people that don't belong out of there, and the people that do belong, we try to make you safe. If we see you park, we watch you walk into the building.
Yeah.
So like we're doing that aspect, but we will pick it up. We will start making our presence felt
Yeah,
a
because
little
you
more.
have people that's walking through the parking lots all night long, all night.
Only so much we can do about people walking though, because it's not.
I'll let
crime
you
to
guys
walk.
continue this conversation, so I appreciate it. Yeah. And then, and I'm glad, and I encourage you to go up and talk to the department heads after the meeting's over and to follow up with additional information. But is that the last question? 0. That's my favorite question of the day. I want to say thank you. The number of questions asked today was high for a Mayor's Night Out. That means it's a strong area, and I appreciate you. I know that we have a lot of challenges, but running a city is complicated. There's 81,000 people that live here. You know, we're worth $3.3 billion, our entire city. It's a complicated endeavor, but we try hard every day, and the people running your city live with you. So thank you all. Welcome. Thanks to Edison School for Mayor's Night Out. It's great to see everybody. I'll see you guys next time.